Hi guys, this is Greg Howlett, and I want to say first of all, happy Veterans Day to those of you that are veterans. It's been a rough week here in the United States with elections, but now it's Veterans Day, and thank you for your service, even though we have a very imperfect country. You chose to serve, and we appreciate that. I want to talk today about music to veterans and non-veterans alike, of course, and we're going to talk about the song that I started on my blog this week. I gave you a Mighty Fortress, no, not a Mighty Fortress, a Shelter in the Time of Storm. And I said that we would sort of arrange this together. And so I gave you a harmonic plan, sort of a sketch of what I'm going to do harmonically with this song. And then I said that we would eventually get into the development and texture of it to turn it into a final arrangement. So I want to talk about that today. I'm going to give you some thoughts about texture. Really the point of this video is to move you into thinking about texture a little bit now that we have a harmonic plan. But let's talk about the harmony for just a second. I want to play through what I gave you. And we'll do that first and talk about it for maybe a minute and make sure that we're on the same page, so to speak, with that. This is what I came up with, and you're not locked into this, of course. This is a little bit interesting, actually. I'm sort of stretching the harmonic palette a little bit with some of this stuff. And if you don't like it, feel free to simplify it or get rid of it entirely. But this is what I'm going to do. Now, this is just very, very simple open voicing stuff. All right, so there it is. Now, I'll talk about a couple of quick things here to tell you what you can change or consider changing. First of all, I probably would change the third bar, now that I hear it, third beat of bar 4, which is the B flat 7, but it's got a flat 9 on it. The C flat is a flat 9, and that is a little dissonant there in that space to me, because we come up here and play a B flat against the flat 9. It's not ideal. So you can change that to a natural 9. So make that a C natural if you want. It sounds really vanilla sometimes when you go in that direction, but that's probably a good change. And when you get to the chorus, I start using a lot of tritone substitutions, a lot of fancy dense harmony. And it starts in bar 8. That's a 2-5 going into that 4 chord. Typically we do a 2, that's a secondary dominant combination, the 5 of 4 moving to 4, and then I'm sticking a 2 in front of the 5. But then I'm doing a tritone substitution of both of them. So I'm moving both the 2 and the 5 a tritone away, and that's where that E flat or that E minor 7 flat 5, A7 comes from. Throw a F sharp on that A7 if you're going to keep it. I just noticed I left it out. That's 13. It sounds really good there. When you get to bar 11, no, bar 10, now I'm really throwing in secondary or tritone subs. And you can get rid of those beats those chords on beats 2 and 4 if you wish. It'll sound perfectly fine. Hear what I just did? I left out the beats on, or the chords on beats 2 and 4, as opposed to this. Just played it really simple. G minor 7 on beats 2, C7 or C minor 7. Either C minor 7 or C7 both work there. And so on. You can definitely simplify the harmony. Now that's all I want to talk about on harmony. Let's move on to something more interesting for today, and that's texture. Now when we start coming up with an arrangement, we need a textural idea, and then typically we're going to develop it. And remember this, the texture in my case is going to be based on my harmony. Now, some of you may do this completely differently, and that's fine, but I tend to start with the harmonic plan and then build texture on top of that harmony, which means the texture is driven by the underlying chords. So in other words, if we have an E flat chord, we can just play it like that, or we could play this, same 3 notes, but we're going to play them broken, or we can go up, or we can do it. You can make it as fancy as you want, if you want. All kinds of different possibilities, but really the underlying texture has to be built on the notes that belong to the chord. That's quite obvious, right? So all these ideas I'm about to go over with you all are based on that idea. We're going to start with the underlying harmony, and we're going to do texture, where the texture is going to use the notes of the chord. So to follow along with what I was just saying, we could play this like, instead of the block voicing, instead of that sound, we could just break all these chords up and play 8th notes like this. So all I'm doing there is I'm playing the outside notes, and then I'm playing the inside notes. So I'm playing at 2 8th notes instead of 1 quarter note. And so on. That's a very simple thing you do, but it sounds great. You don't have to stick with just 8th notes. You could play triplets. And you can tell I haven't practiced this very much. Triplets are 3 notes, right? So we could do the more common 8th 2/16 pattern like this. And so on, or you could use a combination. If you wanted to. I do that a lot. So a combination of 8th 2/16 and triplets. If you want to get really fancy. And so I'm just playing 16th notes now. Again, based on the underlying harmony. You can always, in the left hand, you can do whatever. You can play simple chords, or you can make that fancy as well. You can do 3s against 2s if you want. 3 in the right hand against 2s in the left hand. It's up to you. There's a million different possibilities just with that idea alone. Make sure that even if you keep the verse simple, or when the melody simple, when you come to the fill spots, which means between phrases, remember that you can put some fancy stuff in there if you wish, and you can elongate that. There's nothing to say, there's no rule that says because in the hymnal there's only 2 beats between phrases that you can't use 4 or 6 or 8. That didn't necessarily work, but you get the idea. You can play some fancy stuff in between phrases all you wish, and it will be just fine. You can be reflective if you want. There's nothing to say that just because this song typically is pretty fast that you have to play it fast. I like to do that, by the way. I like to take fast songs and slow them down. You can play this song sort of stride-like. Let me see what we can come up with. Okay, so right now what I'm doing, guys, is I am playing a combination of stride in the left hand and just a single note melody in the right hand. You could obviously do a lot more in the right hand, and sometimes you play a little bit of arpeggios. In the left hand, if you wish. Those are all possibilities. I just spilled my coffee. I'll clean it up in a second, but I just also gave away that I have a Prince's mug. I have kids in the house, so you'll have to bear with me on that when my Prince's mugs don't necessarily hold me up as a standard bearer for a real man, I guess. But I'm a piano player, so what do you expect? Let's talk a little bit more about this song. Let's just say that you wanted to go bigger. There's nothing to stop you with that either. I can hear the emails now, and send them. Please send them. I enjoy the mean emails just like I enjoy the good ones. But I can hear people saying, Greg, you just destroyed that song. I'm just giving you some ideas. If you want to go a little more rhythmically. Lots and lots. I mean, millions of different possibilities for what you can do here. Hopefully that gets you going. We'll talk about this a little more on the blog. Once you come up with an idea for texture, then we'll start developing. So really it's sort of a three-step process in my mind. We start with the harmonic plan, which I've got something pretty formal written out here for you, but to be honest with you, this is more typical for me. Just some notes scribbled or some numbers scribbled on a piece of paper, which is what this was. What I gave you came from just some numbers scribbled on the paper. But once we're there, now we just need a textural idea, and then we'll talk about developing texture. So we'll do that over the next few weeks, and hope you enjoy it. I'll see you again soon.